you do that? How did you do that?
Welcome back everyone to another ESO build video. Today is going to be the update to the Yogi build, the Bobo Stamina Warden for the Scalebreaker DLC. Now this has been used quite a lot in the past, especially since Summerset made bows become 2 pieces of gear. So this has been around ever since then, but it's still very, very strong. And we're going to show you all of that in this video, of course. Now, first of all, we're going to go into the stats. So we'll pop a potion and make sure everything is running. We are on 10k max magicka, 18k max health, and 31.8k max stamina. We are on 1400, almost 1500 stam recovery, with 2.8k weapon damage, which will go up, don't worry, and 71.3% crit chance, which again will go even higher than that once we get our buffs and bonuses showing. Now we're on 11 to 12k resistances on both sides. That can go up if you put a resistance buff on or receive one from someone in your group. And we're on 64 points into max stamina. We are using our TM takeaway broth, but you can change this if you prefer. You can use flat stat food if you've got very good sustain in your group. Maybe there's master staves coming from the healers, there's spiders flying out everywhere, maybe you've got that kind of stuff. If you have, then of course you can change your food to flat stuff, which will give you much more health and much more stamina. That will actually put you even higher than that, actually. Let's go again. That will put you at 20.8k max health and 34k max damage. Just bear in mind, obviously, your recovery will go down. If you do this, you have got one of 2 situations that you can follow. 1, massive sustain, so you're fine. Or 2, you may have to heavy attack a bit more. In which case, replace one of your main spammables as a heavy attack. But for the most part, we are, of course, using the recovery food because it's a lot easier to sustain with, even though our flat damage does go down slightly. Also, if you prefer, you can use Dubious Command Throne. It is a bit cheaper. It doesn't have health recovery, and the stam recovery is a bit lower, but it will actually be a lot cheaper for you to buy and use, if you like. So the choice is yours. I'll TM takeaway broth if you want to go flat out. Dubious Command Throne if you don't have enough money for that kind of stuff. Or flat food if you have very good sustain in your group. Now we're using the Shadow Mundstone, and we are a stage 4 vampire. You can go 3 if you want, but we'll get to that when we get to the passives. Now I'm going to explain all the skills in detail. If you don't understand these, this is where you want to really be paying attention because it will help you. If you do understand these already, of course, you're welcome to skip, but if you do skip and have questions that have already been answered, I won't be responding to those in the comment section below. So it's at your own risk if you do skip this part. Now, first off, we're using Bullnetch. This is in the Animal Companion skill line. It's the 4th ability to unlock. Starts off as Betty Netch, morph it to Bullnetch. Now, this will actually give you recovery over 27 seconds, but it doesn't show in your stats. This will give you major sorcery and major brutality, so you get increased spell damage and weapon damage of 20%, but we get 5,376 stamina over 27 seconds. That is actually about 192 stamina every second, which is really nuts. But as you can see here, we're on 1329 because we don't have a potion running. If we activate it, we're still on 1329. It doesn't show in your stats. So just bear that in mind. Keep that up all the time. Not only does it give you stam recovery and major sorcery and major brutality, but it's free. This doesn't cost anything. You've got no excuse keeping this skill up all the time. Make sure you keep this running. Next up, of course, is Cutting Dive. This is very simple. Starts off as Dive, morph it to Cutting Dive. It's the first ability in the Animal Companion skill line. This is not here for anything other than stats. We don't ever use it, so just leave it on your bar. We will come to that when we get to the passives. Next up is Subterranean Assault. Next ability in this skill line, actually, second one down. Starts off as Scorch, morph it to Subterranean Assault. This is very simple. When you apply it, it takes 3 seconds, and then bugs will spawn out of the ground and smash a target in the face. Just like that. Now, this also does apply Major Fracture for 6 seconds. So that is on Pierce Armor, so if a tank is present, obviously that will be there. But this is an area of effect as well. It's a frontal area of effect. It's not very large, but it will affect multiple targets. We'll demonstrate that indoors, actually. We've got some dummies in here. Now, because it's got a debuff attached to it, it will have a cap. It will hit multiple targets, but it will only actually apply the debuff to 6 people. See, that hit loads and loads of people then, but the debuff is not on everybody. So we'll do that once more. Now, everyone got hit by the initial hit, but look, there's no debuffs on these guys. These ones have, or they did have. So just bear that in mind. Anything that's got any kind of debuff like that, especially a penetrating debuff, the actual hit will hit everything in range, but the effect will only hit 6. Very useful. That will be in our rotation once every rotation. Just make sure that you're aiming it, because if you aim it this direction, it will fire in this direction. But if you aim it and then spin around, it will fire in the direction you are now facing. So you can, if you accidentally try and pull something, you can turn around and make sure it doesn't happen. Or if that target that you're hitting is now dead, and you want to hit the other one instead, you don't have to double cast it. So that's important. Next up is Bird of Prey. This is in our Animal Companion skill line. 5th ability you unlock. Again, more Animal Companion stuff. You can see a pattern here. Starts off as Falcon Swiftness, morph it to Bird of Prey. We do not have to activate this. However, if you do, you will gain Major Expedition for 6 seconds. So we're very, very fast, which is nice. But above all, what we want this for is the passive stat that we get from it. While slotted, this gives us Minor Berserk, increasing our damage done by 8%. The whole time we have Minor Berserk. Yes, you can get it from Combat Prayer, but we are a Bobo build, and it's very unlikely that we're always going to be in the healer's face. So we might miss out on that passive. However, we get it. We have it all the time. And to make things less confusing, we've double barred it. So it's on both bars, speed buff and a Minor Berserk buff. You never have to activate it to get that Minor Berserk. Next up is Lethal Arrow. This is in our bow skill line. First ability to unlock starts off as Snipe, morph it to Lethal Arrow. The reason we've gone with this particular morph is not only because it does a massive amount of damage, but this does also not only do poison damage, but guarantees a poison status effect. Now, poison status effect is a single target damage over time effect. It lasts a very short period of time, but it dishes out a lot of damage. And this always applies with this skill. So we can keep it up the whole time we're on our front bar. And what you're looking for is this. Look on the target, you can see the purple background with the skull on it. That is the poison status effect. It's a 6-second damage over time. And every time you cast this, it will reapply it. It's very, very strong indeed. Now, next up, of course, is our ultimate on our front bar, which you can plainly see in front of me. This is Wild Guardian. Animal Companion skill line, level 12 to unlock this. This is the physical morph of the Feral Guardian. There's 2 different morphs. One does magic damage, one does physical. We're obviously a stamina and physical setup, so we want the physical version of it. This does massive damage. It hits very, very hard. It will hit the target that you're aiming at. If you need to change targets, by the way, with pets, you do need to heavy attack a different target to make them hit them. So if he's hitting this one here right now, and I heavy attack this one instead, he will change targets. So just bear that in mind. That's how you control your pet. Now, not only does he do high damage throughout the fight, but he also has an ultimate that can be activated. He's with us the whole time, but if we activate him for 75 points, which is incredibly cheap, he will actually do a larger hit. He'll do a massive slap in the enemy's face. But this deals up to 100% more damage to enemies below 25%. So when enemies are under that kind of threshold, this is when he really, really hits hard. And fully buffed, depending on your setup, this can go massive. I've seen this hit way in excess of 150k. It's very, very strong. And this is double barred, because if you don't double bar it, when you swap bars, he will disappear. It has to be on both bars to keep it active, just like a pet on a sorcerer. Very important indeed. Back bar, of course, Nature's Embrace. Now, this was not in the setup previously. We were using Soothe and Spores instead, which you can still use if you choose to. Or you can use Vigor, whatever you fancy. But we are using this. This is the 5th ability you unlock in the Green Balance skill line. Starts off as Nature's Grasp. Morph it to Nature's Embrace on purpose, because this particular morph, although it costs magic, and we don't use magic that much, only when we're using Soul Trap, which is coming up in a moment, this scales off of your highest offensive stats. Our higher offensive stats are our stamina and weapon damage. So this is actually a magicka cost stam heal, technically, for us. It will heal you and the person you swing to, because it's like a little Tarzan vine pull, and it will give you a heal over 10 seconds. And when they've run out, both of the heals, you will gain 3 ultimate for each person. So you and the person you healed. So you do need a target to benefit from this heal. What about if you're solo? What's the bear for? Now you both have a heal over time. And it's really, really powerful. And of course, if you're in combat and you're in trouble, maybe there's some stupid over here that you don't want to be standing in, maybe you need to heal really, really quickly, keep doing your rotation, keep firing out shapes, and then take the heal off your bear. Very, very simple. You both get heals. PvP, obviously, that's helpful for the bear, because in PvE, he doesn't take damage, but you have a target to utilize this skill all the time, because we always have the bear. Now, you can, of course, use Vigor if you prefer. You can use anything else you want. You can use whatever heals benefits you. but this is actually really, really handy for us. It kind of synergizes that whole you and your pet working together type thing, and gives us a very nice heal at the same time. Plus, of course, we can take advantage of green balance passives, which before, some of them we couldn't. Now, Poison Injection, of course, is our next ability. This is in a bow skill line. This is the last ability to unlock. It's the 5th one. It takes some time, this does. But we're using 2 bows anyway, so we'll level quite quickly. Poison Arrow is the original morph of it, but you want to change it to Poison Injection. This does a single target damage over time ability to the target that you are hitting. And the lower their health, the more damage it does. Once it goes under 50%, this turns into an Execute and starts doing more and more damage. But you must keep this running at all times. Very simple. Applied to the target, job done. This is going to be very important when we come to our weapon. You have to keep this skill up. Next up, of course, is Consuming Trap. Now, this got changed so much. This wasn't used anywhere near enough in the past, and Zos changed it in Scalebreaker to make this more accessible for everybody. This is the first ability you get in the game. You don't need a skill point for it, but you will need one to morph it. And now what this does, instead of it being magic damage only, it will scale off of your highest offensive stat. So if you have high magic or high magic pool and spell damage, this will do magic damage only. If you have high stamina or high weapon damage, this will scale off of that and do physical instead. And if the enemy dies after the 10-second duration, you will receive 20% of all 3 resources back. It is unbelievably powerful for your sustain, and the damage output is very high. You must keep this up all the time, but if you're clever and you start seeing things dying, you can actually throw this on each target before it goes down and get a crap ton of resources back. Very, very strong indeed. Keep this in your rotation at all times. We have dumped caltrops for this, by the way, on the previous setup. Bird of Prey, we said we double barred this. Problem solved. Arrow Barrage, very nice. Very nice. They changed this too. Bow skill line, very simple. We used to use Endless Hail. That one does actually have a longer duration, but our rotation's short enough to be able to get away with this. This is actually stronger with a larger area of effect. It used to do damage every half a second, but now does every 1 second. And this has infinite amount of targets that it can hit as long as they're inside the area. So here, you'll see everyone getting hit. Damage every 1 second. Do not let that fall off. It's very, very strong. And this particular skill is what fires our back bar glyph on our weapons. So it must stay up. And the bear, we've double barred it. So when we have a build that has 2 weapons exactly the same, it's really not that complicated. And we're through the skills already. That was quick. Now, passives. This, of course, is quite important. When one of your animal companions is killed or unsummoned, you restore 1260 health. Well, he can't die in PVE anyway. But we are keeping up this Betty Netch, or the Bull Netch. And if you recast it, it counts as unsummoned. So we get a heal. So while you're at the back of the room, you can just pump out a couple of these and just passively get your health back for nothing. If you've run out of magicka because you're spamming Soul Trap or whatever, and the stuff hasn't died yet, and you haven't got enough to cast this, you can get small heals off of this. And you can cast it every second easily anyway, so it's not bad at all. And it can crit. Next up, of course, when you cast an animal companion ability while you're in combat, you generate 4 ultimate. Now, this is very important, by the way. We will be using the Shulks, we'll be using the Bullnetch, and we'll be using the bear. Any of those abilities that are cast will generate ultimate once every 8 seconds. So our rotation does that for us. So that's really, really cool. Next up, of course, when you have a animal companion's ability slotted, you will gain 12% recovery for both stamina and magic. Well, we have this bar full of it, so we're not going to struggle there. We've got the passive on this bar. And the back bar, we have to double bar the bear. So we've got it here as well. Not to mention, of course, we've got Bird of Prey double barred, so we still get it no matter what. Even if we took this off, we still have the bear. So we've always got that 12% increase to recovery. Finally, in this particular skill tree, increases your damage done by 2% for each animal companion ability slotted. That's not weapon damage. That's all damage. We have a 10% bonus on the front bar. Remember I told you this was here for passives? That's why it's there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 animal companion abilities on the front bar. We have a massive 10% bonus to all damage that we do while on this bar. And on our back bar, we have 2, so we've got a 4% bonus on our back bar as well. Very, very handy indeed. You've got to get that passive. Green Balance, now that we're using this skill. When you heal yourself or an ally with a 40% health or under, with a Green Balance ability, you will gain Major Mending, increasing your healing done by 25% for 3 seconds. Now that is nuts. So basically, if you have very low health, you are struggling, and you quickly give him a sneaky heal, you will have major mending, and this heal will be much, much stronger. And so will that. Short period of time, but it really, really helps. When you heal an ally with a green balance ability, you gain 250 magical or stamina, whichever resource pool is lower. So again, that ability, if you heal yourself, or, well, the pet actually, as long as he's taking damage, which he can't, so there's more PvP aspect of it. But if you hit another player with it, say for example, you need to get in position, you use a player at your advantage and you go to them, you're going to be healing them, so you will benefit from this passive. Now, it's going to be magic recovery for us because it's the lowest resource pool that we've got, but that does mean that we can use the heal again quickly if we need to, we can use a speed buff if we need to, because that's magic as well, or we can use Soul Trap again. So that helps for that sustain as well. Increases your healing done with green balance abilities by 2% for each one slotted. We do not have one on the front bar, but we do have one on the back. So while we're on this bar, while we cast it, we get the bonus. When you activate a heal on yourself or an ally, you grant them minor toughness, increasing their health by 10% for 20 seconds. So we've got two ways we can do this. The Bull Netch can be recasted. There's our heal. Now we've got minor toughness. So that is why we've got 18k health. Or you can activate a heal on this dude, and it'll just reset it. And we've got it again. Also, if we do use Vigor, by the way, if you don't have any other Warden in your group, you may want to swap this out. You may want to deliberately put Echo and Vigor on, because now if you heal anyone with that, they will all get minor toughness as well. So that's really helpful. So in that situation, that might be really beneficial for you to swap that out. Stupid bear's hitting the skeleton again. Come on, Yogi, get off. We don't need to change that. We'll go to passives. Now, Winter's Embrace. We're not using any abilities. None. Not using any of these whatsoever. But this will increase the chance of applying chilled status effects to the enemies with Winter Embrace abilities. You don't need that. This will increase your physical and spell resistance. We don't need that. Reduces your effectiveness of snares by 15%. We do need that. We don't have to have a skill slotted from this skill line. We just need to get this passive. We do want this one. And this increases your magic and frost damage by 6%. You don't need that either. The only thing you need from here is Icy Aura. That's it. The rest we use a lot on tanks and healers and such, but this particular build we don't use it at all. Unless, of course, you're solo, in which case you may want to slot this, because then projectiles can get absorbed and you get loads and loads of ultimate back. Now, we're using a bow, of course, if that wasn't already obvious. This will give you a damage bonus of up to 12% against enemies at longer range. That is important. I've seen a lot of people using bow builds getting this close and spamming loads of 5 to 7 meter dots and calling it a bow build. Bow is ranged. This is supposed to be ranged, and this passive pushes that. So, if you are at range, your bow abilities will do more damage. So your light attacks, your heavy attacks, your volley, your poison injection, and your lethal arrow, your snipe, will all do more damage the further away you are up to a point. Obviously, they've got to reach. So don't go too far back, because although your bow can reach for 28 meters and your lethal arrow can actually reach to 35, your subterranean assault is only 20 meters. So don't go outside of 20 meters range if you want to take advantage of this. But if you just hit them with your bow anyway, especially if you're outside or inside mechanics and you have to go really, really far, you can still reach and you will still get a massive bonus for doing so. Stay at range as much as you can unless you have to come in. This will increase your weapon crit rating for having a bow equipped, which is quite nice. Same on both bars. This will reduce the stamina cost of bow abilities. Obviously, it goes without saying we want the cost down, especially since we're using pretty much all bow abilities. This is massive. And this is also very relevant to our setup. You need to start practicing your light and heavy attacks with a bow, because every light attack will give you a stack of extra damage towards your bow abilities. 5% increase, stacked up to 5 times. That's 25% increase. It's massive. But if you fail to do a light attack within 5 seconds of the last one, all those stacks will fall off. You need to keep this up 100% of the time. We've got 2 bows. Even if we swap bars, we're still going to get this bonus. And based on a set that we're using, the timer is exactly the same for that to stay up as well. So get good with this passive. Hasty Retreat, of course, we get Major Expedition if we dodge roll. Either bar, because we've got a bow on both bars. So if we dodge roll, we run faster. But remember, we run fast anyway. So it's your choice. If you dodge roll, you get that little bonus. If you hit this, you get the bonus anyway. Really handy in mechanics. We're using 1 piece of light armor, So we will get the benefit from these smaller passives here. This will give us a reduction to snare effectiveness, so we don't get slowed down quite so much, and it will reduce the cost of sprinting. This will increase your mag recovery per piece worn and reduce the cost of magic abilities per piece worn, which is a little bit handy. It's not massive, but it will help. And this will increase our spell resistance. Again, it's not massive, but it will contribute. Don't get these two because they require 5 pieces. We're using 5 pieces of medium, so we're using 1 light, 1 heavy, and 5 medium. We'll get to heavy in a moment. This will give us a crit bonus per piece worn. This will give us increased stam recovery per piece worn and reduction to cost. This will improve our sneaking, which is hit or miss. You can get it if you want or not if you don't want to, depending on what you're doing. This you will need. This increases our weapon damage for having 5 pieces of medium armor equipped. We do have 5. You will need this. And this, of course, gives us a reduction to dodge roll cost, and it will increase our movement while sprinting. So these are very, very important passives. You must get them all. Heavy armor, of course, we only need these 3. This increases your physical and spell resistance for each piece worn. This increases your health recovery, although not that important because we are a vampire, but it will restore 108 magicka and stamina once every 4 seconds if we take damage, just for the 1 piece. That does actually contribute, it's quite helpful, and this will give us a 2% increase to our max health as well. Again, these two are not required, they need 5 pieces. Now, we are, of course, a stage 4 vampire. Stage 2 will give you increased mag recovery and increased stamina recovery. We're using a mixture of abilities, lots and lots of stamina, of course, but we are using a magic ability as well. This will give us a massive mitigation bonus. If we are low health, we will take less damage. It's as simple as that. It doesn't get any simpler. Under 50%, you can take up to 33% less damage depending on how low you go. And of course, remember, if we're low health and we heal ourselves with the green balance ability, we get major mending and we can heal much, much faster. So going low health is not the end of the world. We're just fine. Don't panic. Get yourself a heal. You'll recover. It's a lot safer to have this passive than it is to not have it. But just bear in mind, of course, the higher stage of vampire you are, the more damage you take from fire. Lucky for us, however, we're ranged, so it's quite easy for us to use our agility to our advantage and stay out of stupid. So just be aware of what's going on, keep your heals up, keep your damage up, and keep out of stupid. Don't stand in fire and blame the healers, and any fire mechanics that require you to stand in them, especially at executes and such like that, you can survive as a vampire. Just make sure, obviously, that your group is keeping you alive. Now, Fighter's Guild, of course, this is important. We're not actually using any abilities here. I bought a couple while I was messing around, but we don't need them. What we do need, however, is this. This increases our ulti regen if we kill stuff that is undead, Daedra, or werewolf. So any of those types of enemies, if we are the one that kills them, we get 9 ultimate back. Bear in mind, of course, the ultimate from the bear is 75. That's really, really bloody cheap. So the more you kill, the more ultimate you get, the more you spam the bear, the more damage you do. Simple as that. So you will need that passive. You won't need anything else from there, which is unusual because most builds, especially Stamina, use a lot of Fighters Guild stuff. We're not using anything. We just want this passive. Undaunt is incredibly important. If you take a synergy, and you will get 4% of your stamina, magicka, and health back. Every single synergy in the game is beneficial. Take every single one you can see. They will help you. Next up, of course, this is important. This will increase our maximum stats, health, magic, and stamina by 2% for each type of armor worn. Remember I said I'm wearing 1 heavy, 1 light, 5 medium. That's 3 types. So for that, we have a 6% bonus across the board. We are, of course, an orc. We have an increase to stamina of 2k. We have a 1k health increase. We heal from our weapon damage abilities. So if we do a light attack, or a heavy attack, or volley, or poison injection, or snipe, because they're all weapon abilities, we will heal. Here's an example. Look to my right hand side, you'll see a green number pop up as soon as I light attack him. That's a heal. Simple as that. Once every 4 seconds, I can do it again. Volley will do it. Just for ticking over, I heal once every 4 seconds. Very easy. Really awesome passive, and of course we are wicked fast and have high weapon damage. We have 258 weapon damage as an orc, and we reduce the cost of sprint by 12%, and we are faster. 10% increase to our movement speed. Alongside this, we are really quick. And our medium passives, of course, because we sprint faster. Now, you will need medicinal use. We are using weapon power pots, which are giving us major brutality, major savagery, and major endurance. Now, of course, yes, we do have major brutality anyway, but if you can make potions that give you savagery and recovery and something else, then of course you're more than welcome to do so. There is a way to do that actually where you get a heal out of it. There's a health pot you can make, but for the purpose of the video, we're just using straightforward weapon pots. They do last 36 seconds, but if you have medicinal use, they last 47, which is 2 seconds over the cooldown, which means we never ever run out of those bonuses. Really, really nice indeed. Now we're going to go into the gear. Now, for those of you that have used this before, you're probably not going to be too disappointed, but you are going to be quite surprised at the choice of monster set. Also, you can get the majority of the loot on normal, but any stuff that is required to get vet content done, there are guides for it on my channel. Everything explained. Don't worry, we've got you covered. Now, first of all, we're using a Zovkin, how the hell do you say this? Zogvin's bow. This is from Frostvault. I know some of you have seen my hardest pug ever videos where we struggled like hell in there because I got some people that weren't really sure what to do. Do not worry. You do not have to do this on veteran. You can go in on normal, you'll smash it to bits, and then you'll get what you need and you can get out. The only thing you have to do is upgrade it. Now, of course, we are using a precise trait on this to give us as much crit chance as possible. Not only that, the actual set itself has got crit chance twice and physical penetration, and when you deal damage you stack up bonuses which last 10 seconds, giving you 129 crit chance. It goes up and up and up and up to 10, and as long as you keep these stacks active by doing crit damage, it will stay with you forever even if you swap bars, and you get minor force. Don't need a beast trap. We have increased critical damage the whole time. Also, we are using poisons, which are 2 dots at once. These can all crit and all the shininess as well, and they just fire off of our weapon abilities, which we are utilizing a lot. We're using the bow and 3 jewelry, but you can use the bow and 3 armor pieces if you like. It's up to you. But we are using weapon damage on all of them and 3 bloodthirsty. Our execute is actually very, very strong. Now, the second set we're using is, of course, Reliquin. You don't have to have perfected. The only difference with perfected is it's got 1k extra stamina. So you can get this on normal as well. Pickup trials happen all the time. Get in, get your stuff, get out. You don't even need to worry about the perfect traits to start with. Just get your setup and you can change them later. This, again, gives us a crit bonus and another crit bonus. So we've got loads and loads of crit. Minor Slayer increase in all of our damage we do by 5%. Remember, we've got a 10% bonus to all of our damage on the front bar anyway. So they do stack up. And your light or heavy attacks stack harmful winds on the target, which last 5 seconds. And every time you apply another light attack within a second of the last one or more, you will stack another wind, up to 20. If you stop doing light or heavy attacks for more than 5 seconds, they will all fall off and all your damage is gone. This is exactly the same timer as your Hawkeye passive. If you can keep your Hawkeye passive up, you can keep this up forever. It will take some practice. You will have to be very mindful of this inside mechanics, but if you can do the passive, you can do this. Very, very simple. Don't worry about being on vet. You can get it on normal. You don't have to do vet hard mode or any of that stuff. But if you don't have access to this, you can pretty much use anything you like as long as it can reach. So if you're using a proc set, make sure you're actually in range of it. If not, if it's something flat, you can use Briarheart or anything to that effect if you want, just to increase your weapon damage output. Or even Hundin's Rage if you really want to. Yes, you'll see a dramatic difference in the overall performance, but for the time being, you'll be just fine. Now, we are, of course, using a Master's Bow. This does have weapon and spell damage on it, because if our volley is active, or our arrow barrage is active, that will constantly proc this glyph, and we can keep that up all the time. That's why you mustn't make that skill run out. And it is infused, which will obviously allow us to do that. This particular weapon comes from Dragonstar Arena. You will get increased damage on the target in the form of 301 weapon damage if you apply Poison Injection on them. But this does not show in your stats, because this is against the target. It's not a buff to your actual stats overall. So this doesn't work on multiple targets from one poison injection. You will need to put a poison injection on each target for each one to get the extra damage done by you. So just bear that in mind. You must have poison arrow or poison injection or any of the morphs from that skill on that target to benefit from it. If you have it on this target here and not this one, and you're hitting them both, he's the only one that will get additional damage done. Just bear that in mind. You can, of course, use a Maelstrom Bow if you have one at the moment and don't have a Master's Weapon. And if you don't have either, and you're farming for them, you can put an Agility one on just for now, and it will be just fine. It won't be quite as strong, but it will be not a problem. So don't panic. Now, the monster set. We're not using one. We're using two different ones. We're using Slime Crawl, which gives us increased weapon crit. We are using Grundwolves, which also gives us increased weapon crit. Now, this is from Wayrest Sewers 1. Go in, kill the boss, get the helmet, get out. This can drop from a chest. You don't even need the DLC. So very, very simple. Now, why is this important? Because we've got loads and loads and loads and loads of crit. Now, we'll demonstrate this. We have weapon crit on both of our monster pieces. We have weapon crit on our precise weapon. We have 2 crit bonuses here. We have another 2 crit bonuses here. We have crit bonuses in our potion. So, let's stack this up. Wrong skill. Let's get these 10 stacks from Zogvins. And then check our crit while buffed. 83.2% crit chance. And we'll just make sure that we've got our weapon damage increase as well. 4k weapon damage, 83.2% crit chance. With the Shadow Munderstone, giving us crit damage bonus and a free minor force all the time just by doing our damage. Very, very handy indeed. So we've got decent pen, stupid crit, decent weapon damage for a bow setup, massive ulti damage, all that good stuff, and sustain as well. Very, very handy. Now, I'm going to show you the rotation. Actually, no, we're going to show you the champion points first, and then I'll show you the rotation. Now, we are sitting on 72 points into Ironclad. It's pretty much the same on all my characters, actually, but you can change these depending on the content. It's entirely up to you, but the flat out, these are really, really handy. 23% to direct damage incoming, 13% across the board for both physical types and magic types, so really good reduction to damage there, and 19% to damage over time. Don't forget, of course, we've got the Unchained passive, so if you do get stunned and you break free, your next stamina ability is 80% less, so use something really expensive. 19 points in quick recovery to give us a 5% increase to all healing received. That means heals that are given to us from other people and the ones that we cast ourselves. 44 points into Warlord to reduce the cost of break free. 75 points into Tenacity to give us a 14% increase back on our heavy attack resources. So if we heavy attack, we get stand back. You may need to do that sometimes. This improves it. And of course, 75 points into Mooncalf to increase our stam recovery by 14% as well. 72 points into Tumbling to give us a 23% reduction to dodge roll cost. We do use our stam bar for resources to do damage and to evade. We want to make sure we get the cost down because otherwise we can only do one or the other. We want to do them both. This will give us a 1% bonus to block cost reduction because the 0.97 doesn't count. You could put them somewhere else, but we haven't really got anywhere to put them, so we'll just dump them all in there. And for this, having 75 points in this tree, we have higher quality loot from treasure chests. So if you are farming this gear with this particular character and you haven't got what you need yet, make sure you loot the chests. Nothing in here. 3 points into Physical Weapons Expert to increase our light and heavy attacks by 2%, which does stack alongside this. Our Master at Arms, we've got 48 in there and to increase our direct damage. So light attacks, heavy attacks, lethal arrow, our initial hit on poison injection, anything that's direct, including the Shulks as well. 48 points into Thermaturge. We do have a lot of damage over time, of course, so this does contribute. 61 points into crit damage. We do have minor force. We do have, obviously, our points here. We do have the Shadow Moonstone with all divines. That will put us bang on 100%, so it's really, really handy. We do have a lot of points here. Now, I would normally go lower here since we've got penetration on our set, but because we're using a precise weapon and we don't have sharpened, this actually brings it back up again. So we're bang on the money here. We need to make sure we have 61 points into here. And Mighty, of course, is on 49, giving us an 11-point increase to all physical, poison, and disease damage, which is pretty much all we're doing. So these are really, really, really nice how they're set out. I've tried multiple different ways of having this set up. Loads of Thermaturge, not so much Master at Arms, switching it around, having some more pen sets and all that good stuff. This actually topped out really, really well. Now I'm going to go into the rotation. This is really, really, really simple. So make sure that your bull netch is running at all times. Start your fight by putting Shulks down and swapping bars. That's all you have to do. There's no beast traps or anything, no confusing. Once you've done that, Endless Hail, well, it's not actually, it's Arrow Barrage, my bad. Arrow Barrage, light attack, poison injection, light attack, soul trap, swap bars. We're going to demonstrate that here. Arrow Barrage, light poison, light soul trap, swap bars. Now it gets really easy. Light attack, lethal arrow, 4 times. Then, light attack, Shulk, swap. Start again. We'll call it volley because it's the base version of it. Volley, light, poison, light, trap, swap. Light lethal, 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Light Shulks, swap. Light, volley, light, poison, light, trap, swap. Light lethal 4 times again. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now, you will need to roll to this because once every second or third rotation, your bull netch is going to run out. So when you do light attack Shulks, just light attack Bull Niche afterwards and then swap bars. Just sneak it in there. And also when your bear is ready, every single rotation that it's ready, remove 1 lethal arrow and replace it with your bear's attack. So every single rotation is 4 lethal arrows unless he's ready, in which case it's 3 and a bear. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Now I'm going to show you a demonstration on the dummy. Basically, we are going to demonstrate in a situation where we have high flat stamina, so we're using the flat food. We are going to say, for argument's sake, we have a couple of healers using Master Stave, so we're basically never going to run out of juice. So we're going to simulate with a recovery food. That's all we're doing it for. If you don't have those present, of course, you're going to need to change your food to our Tayum Takeaway Broth, and you'll have a little less output overall. Here we go. So hopefully that helped, hopefully it wasn't too boring, hopefully you now have a better understanding of how to approach this particular build. It's very easy to use, quite straightforward as far as the rotation is concerned. Some of the gear is very easy to get hold of, especially if you do pugs a lot, especially on normal, and some of it you may have to farm a little bit for, but don't worry, all the guides are there on the channel for everything you need. So, first of all, thank you all very, very much for watching. I hugely appreciate the support, and if you are not subscribing, please do hit that button, it is free. Furthermore, if you want to help support outside the channel, there are some links in the description for Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, and of course the website XynodeGaming.com. And of course, don't forget, I do live stream on Twitch every single day from 10 PM UK time, unless I say otherwise on Twitter. Once again, thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.